Jerseys of Hope is a nonprofit committed to inspiring a sense of community and well-being in hospitals through the donation of athletic jerseys to be worn by patients rooting for their favorite team. In the past 7 years, Jerseys of Hope has given out over 2,000 jerseys to lift the spirits of hospital patients. They have impacted the needy in 4 countries and 11 states. Please visit jerseysofhope.org to learn more. We're so honored to partner with Jerseys of Hope and be a small part of the large impact they make.
I've known pain in my heart, I've known pain in my body. I've asked God the questions all time and again. Is there anything too hard for you? I've seen the morning.
Hey everyone, this is Aaron. Welcome back to the Unscripted Podcast. Unscripted comes to you each episode from our Jerseys of Hope studios here in Columbus, Ohio. You can find out more about them at jerseysofhope.org. Our new intro song is called Stand on Your Promises by my dear friend and recording artist Kate Stanford. It was written and performed by Kate Stanford, Jamie Jangoshan, and Sam Hart. Produced by Sam Hart. You can find Kate on all your streaming platforms at katestanfordmusic.com. But for now, here's today's episode. Welcome back to Unscripted from my Jerseys of Hope studios. And this is special today. Last week I got to be a part of a conference in Michigan called the Speak Up Conference. Shout out Speak Up Conference. It was amazing. And I just got to somehow parachute in there and be a part of it. And I was on a platform. And then when I got back to my hotel that night, I got this DM from Lori, my guest today, and she was telling her story, and I've read her story. It's incredible, and I can't wait for y'all to hear it. Lori, can you introduce yourself, and we'll go from there?
Yes, thank you so much, Aaron, for having me on here. I'm thrilled to be here and to introduce myself to your listeners. My name is Lori Vober, and I am a stroke survivor. At age 29, that is actually the beginning of my journey. And I have had multiple medical and life challenges since then, but I have a very strong faith, and that really kicked off my journey. But we all go through challenges, and it's really, truly what we do with them that starts our journey and continues from there.
So let's start at the beginning. Age 29, which that was a few miles down the freeway from me.
And for me at this point too, yes. So my husband and I actually lived in Minnesota at the time. We live in Arizona now, but we were just shy of our 5th year wedding anniversary. And normal, I say normal, whatever normal is in this day and age, but we felt like a normal family. We were 2-income family. We were trying to start biologically to have kids. We had been trying for a couple of years. We both worked for the airlines. My husband was an aircraft mechanic, and I was on the business side. My background is marketing and sales and customer support. So we both worked for Northwest Airlines in Minnesota. And I did a lot of traveling. So at that point in time, I really thought that our inability to have children successfully was stress-induced and just being on opposite schedules. I was also very involved in our church. I was their wedding coordinator and event planner. And so the opportunity came about for me to be their office manager. And they really thought that that would be a good fit for me. And I thought, well, this might be a good step down as far as scheduling, and that it would be a good opportunity for me to slow life down and ease into momhood. And I could still work and be a mom. And I've always been a planner. So I've been the one that thought, in order to get pregnant and have kids and still have an income, I could do X, Y, and Z. And I had it all planned out. So I accepted the job January of 2003, and it all planned out that I would be the office manager, slow life down. We would get pregnant, and life would be great. And as we all know, our plans aren't always our plans. And 3 weeks into the job, I had a massive hemorrhagic stroke. And this stroke was actually caused by an undetected malformation of blood vessels on the right side of my brain, something I was born with, a birth defect that truly had just never been detected. So I always say now that our plans are just our plans, and God obviously has his own plans and often a better plan. And although my plan was to start a new journey and a new career to start our family, his indeed was to save my life, because had I not been at the church that day, I could have easily been in an airport, in an airplane, in a business center, or in a hotel alone. And instead, I was surrounded by coworkers at a safe environment. And with that, I really was not aware of the signs of stroke at age 29 like I should have been. And I waited almost too late to get help as it was. I didn't feel well at all that day. I had a massive headache, upset stomach. My left arm was feeling numb and kind of heavy, but I just ignored the signs. I thought, how could something be wrong? I'm only 29. And it was when I sat down at my chair and my left leg went numb that warning bells went off and we called 911. And within an hour of calling 911 and my family and paramedics arriving, I was literally unconscious in an emergency situation to the hospital. So, I'm a strong advocate now as a speaker and a published author, not only to help others get through their challenges, but also in the months of May and October, which are Stroke Awareness Month, letting the general public know the important signs of stroke that I didn't know. So, you just never know how important your health is until it's taken away.
It's incredible. I think we get in our cars and the cars are smart enough to tell us, hey, low tire pressure, right? Like if we got a flat or, something's changed, thank God for our cars and that they tell us something's not right. So you've mentioned this, and I want to go back to it very quickly because you said those awareness months are coming up. What were the signs and symptoms of what you were going through? And did you even know, like, hey, this might be a stroke?
Right. No, I didn't. So in my case, it was a very bad headache, an upset stomach, and my left arm felt numb, and then my left leg went numb. But there's actually an acronym that I love your listeners to remember, and it's called FAST, FAST. And that stands for face, arms or legs, speech, and T is for time. So if anything happens with your face, for your arms or your legs being weak all of a sudden, for your speech to be slurred, then time means time is of the essence to get help. And I am so glad that we called 911 when we did, because literally we went into an emergency brain surgery situation and to stop the massive bleed once they figured out that was the problem. And they kept me in a drug-induced coma for 17 days to keep the brain pressures down at that point. And I woke up 17 days later, completely paralyzed on the left side. I had lost everything on the left side at that point. And honestly, as a hemorrhagic stroke survivor, I look at it today as, oh, gosh, I get frustrated. I can't do this. And I get frustrated. I can't do that. But literally, statistically, I am incredibly blessed and should be grateful beyond any prayer request to be alive, because the statistics of survival are low, and 20% are statistics of hemorrhagic stroke survivors that actually live independently. And so if you saw me online, you would think there's nothing wrong. If you see me walking, you can tell that I do still have a limp. I do have minimal use of my left arm, even after 20 years in a lot of therapy. But otherwise, I live an amazingly normal life. And, that's all to the grace of God and my own perseverance, hard work, and great therapists. So, I just have to tell others who may be listening and going through their own hard challenges, never give up, persevere, because even when you feel like, oh my goodness, this is not the journey I was called to live out, none of us know what we're called to live out. And God will bless you with an amazing amount of perseverance and a brand new normal that you never thought you'd have. He has given me so many amazing opportunities and a new leash on life and a new perspective. And I've just come to know at this point, I've gone through so many challenges that I just look at it that whatever challenge comes my way has to be some type of opportunity to be used to help others, to bring glory to Him. And so it's just all about perspective. But I do have to say, at the beginning stages, it wasn't all, roses and cherries. And it was rough at the beginning. And we learned that, in the blink of an eye, life does change. And I was in the hospital for 2 months, and I was the modest one at the beginning. Prior to my stroke, I would be the one in the gym that would go to a bathroom stall to change my clothes. And, you know, now find myself in the hospital, and I had to call a nurse in the middle of the night if I wanted to roll over, and showers included sitting in a shower chair, having a nurse physically give me a shower. And I had a second brain surgery while I was in the hospital to remove the malformation, and I learned to sit up, and the right side was completely what I considered to be normal. So we had to learn what balance was and how to stand again. And after 2 months of being in the hospital, I went home in a wheelchair. And at that point, I could stand with help. I could walk with a cane, and I had no movement in my upper extremity. So nothing with my left arm or shoulder, but I could walk with assistance. And we went home to live with my parents because they had less stairs than our home. And my husband was, like I said before, was in the aviation maintenance side of Northwest Airlines. And this was right after September 11th terrorist attacks in 2003. So the trickle down, unfortunately, in the aviation industry was not good. And it was 2 months after my hospital discharge and totally 6 months after my stroke that he lost his job. And so that's why we're in Arizona now. And really, if we look back, it was like, oh my goodness, one more thing. But I am so grateful at this point that that did happen and we're in Arizona, because our life would have been so much harder had we stayed in Minnesota with the ice and the snow. And I just know I would have not gotten the independence back that I've gotten by being where we've been in Arizona with therapists I found, and the quality of life. And so God does truly have a plan, no matter what you go through. Sometimes you just have to dig deep and look hard to determine that plan. But we did move to Arizona. We sold our house. We sold our first dog. We said goodbye to all our friends and family. And we moved to Arizona in August of 2003. And shortly thereafter, I started developing seizures from the stroke. So for many years, it was, I have to say, fairly difficult for the whole family, battling seizures with me. Therapy was day in, day out. It was my full-time job to get better. But, eventually there was light at the end of the tunnel. And I think in our heart of hearts, we really just kept wanting to get back to what was normal. And especially me, I just kept thinking, okay, if I work hard enough and I persevere hard enough and I keep working, eventually I'm going to get better and pick up where I left off. And I didn't realize at the time that wasn't going to happen. And I'm truly grateful no one enlightened me on that, because I think I didn't really go through a huge depression or emotional downturn because no therapist and no family member enlightened me on my true reality. And I came to grips of that over time. So I am grateful that I came to my own reality of what life really was going to look like in my own time. But I have to say, stroke and any long-term disability is a lifelong journey, and you just have to figure out what your new normal looks like. But there truly is a brilliant, wonderful new normal. You just have to find it and create it. And for us, that ended up being still having children, but it became adoption. And we adopted 3 kids 8 years post-stroke. We had always been avidly involved in Compassion International. And so that's why we chose adoption and international adoption. And I have to say, just like any other journey, we went into it with unrealistic expectations. But I think no matter whether it's a job, a marriage, a parenting experience, anything new, you tend to go into your journeys with pretty unrealistic expectations, I think, until you get involved, and then it's like, oh, boy, this is what it is. And that's truly what it was for us. But we learned so much. And I look back, and it was a journey, both blessings and challenges. I tell my kids today, I'm truly grateful you gave me the most wonderful gift by being able to be a mom, but you gave me the hardest gift of being a mom. They all had tremendous challenges. They were older. They were 6, 8, 10. So there was a lot of trauma, attachment, abandonment issues that we had to work through. But at the same time, looking at our world today and the pandemic and the mental challenges our world has exploded with, had I not walked through the journey I walked through with my kids, I really feel like I still would have lived in somewhat of a bubble that I couldn't relate to the public as much as I can. And given the fact that God has called me to be in this arena that my heart yearns to be in as a published author and a speaker, and to use my own personal journey to help others, I'm truly grateful that I walked hand in hand with some of the challenges I did with my kids, because now I can understand what others truly have gone through. And it's not just a sympathy of, oh, I'm so sorry you're going through, but it's with empathy of, I truly understand what you're going through. So, God will truly use every single hardship you have walked through for his greater purpose when you look hard enough and you reach out to him and say, hey, show me.
Wow.
So
that's incredible.
I mean, truly, my life is really about what legacy can I leave, and what can I do with this mess? Because it's a bunch of mess. And I say to my husband all the time, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm a walking mess and I'm a walking miracle in a body. And but it's all what you look at, right?
100%. So that's what I want to make sure we take care of right away. What are the links? I know you've written books. How can people get a hold of you? How can they follow your journey? What are the links?
Yes. So the best link is probably my website, because I try and keep that with all my other stuff. So the best is my website, which is www.lorivober.com. I am going to be starting a new blog. It's in the works. So that's why I'd love for people to go to my website. It's going to be Choose to Persevere. It's going to be a new blog, and I'm going to also piggyback off that with a new Facebook group soon. And my goal one day is to have my own podcast for the stroke survivor community, as well as those that have gone through unplanned challenges, because I think that's really my heart, is to give hope to those that are hurting from the unplanned challenges. And, so many people, especially my stroke survivor community, have stories and they just don't know what to do with them. And I think when, podcasters like yourself, others give us the space just to share, it's a step in the direction of healing, really. And I think that for so long, I didn't really know how to even begin to heal. And when I started writing and sharing with others, just that act of writing and the act of servitude and sharing with others was a huge step in my own healing journey.
What do you hope people will find on your blog as you get that started?
I hope two things. Number one, I hope it helps them to realize they're not alone. That was my biggest thing, is the support. I felt for a very long time very alone. And so I suppressed everything, because I felt like, sometimes when you feel like you're screaming for help, you're actually just whispering, and you don't want to scream louder, because you feel like if you have a personality like mine, which tends to be a people-pleasing personality, you feel like you're bothering people. So, and I think that truly is the case within the Christian community too. Especially if you have also a servant's heart, you're so used to serving that you just get in that mode of, how can I serve? And then people are used to you serving. And so you don't know how to just sit back and be shepherded sometimes. And so I want to give people the space to understand that sometimes you do have to be shepherded, and that they're not alone. And if that's just for them to come and see what my journey has looked like and realize that they're not alone, and they can take away 1, 2, or 3 points that I've walked through, and that makes them realize they're not alone. That's the point of the blog. And the point of the Facebook is for there to be ongoing support and communication between members. And if in this day and age, if we're working with individuals that do truly have a disability that disables them from being able to go out still in public and, go to a church or support group or a hospital or whatever their situation is, I want to utilize the technology to the fullest extent. I think that's one thing I didn't have back in 2003, is this technology just wasn't what it is today. And so I didn't realize back in 2003, what it was like to blog or do a Facebook, or, so much has changed. And so I want to piggyback off what I didn't do, what I could have done, and if I had my stroke today, and what I would do today.
I have two final questions for you. One is, you've adopted, as you said, later ages. How challenging is it to adopt, and especially 3 children at, advanced stages in life? How hard was that?
How hard was it emotionally or physically, or just the process, or all of it?
All of it.
I have to say the process was not super hard because we chose older children. It wasn't super long for us. Now, if you wanted an infant or a younger child, the process is a lot longer. It just depends on if you're choosing adoption for international or domestic. And so every opportunity and has its own rules, regulations, and length of time. I have to say, emotionally, we were not as trained and prepared for what we took a step forward into as we should have been. We read the books, we went through training, and I don't think any parent is, really trained as well as we can be before. I mean, whether you're a biological parent, you're a adoptive parent, you're a parent through foster, you're a parent through marriage, it doesn't really matter. No one's trained. And, I used to tell my kids, there's no manual for you guys. So I am so sorry if I screw you up. There's just no manual. And I think that's true. However, I do think that if there was more training on the adoption side for parents, if there was more support afterwards, and if there was more understanding and support groups for the adopted parents and the adopted children, that sure would be helpful. We felt very isolated and alone, I have to say, between medical and adoption. That was the hardest. I'm always trying to find our way, and a journey where we didn't fit in was hard. And I think a lot of people feel that way. They're trying to find their niche and find where they fit in. And when they don't, they're left with what do I do now? And it was no fault of anyone's. It just was what's next and where do I go? And for me, I found a lot of peace and a lot of fitting in an older generation, because those were the moms that had already been there, done that, and they could mentor me. Those friends that were my age, they were either having successful parenting experiences, or they just couldn't relate to all the trials I was going through. And so I have to say, my biggest advice is to others, find your best support system that works for you, and don't think that there's only one way. And find whatever church environment or friend environment works best for your family, and don't get stuck in this niche of this is where I have to be because this is where I think I have to be. And I think so much of what we think we need to do comes from social media. And remember, God's the one that created you. He's the one with the best plan, and he's the one that truly has all the answers. So don't get so stuck on your identity and your happiness and journey being laid out by friends and your social media as much as him as your creator being the bricklayer and your ground layer. I've just learned so much to depend on him more than anybody else.
Mm. I want to say some things back to you based on words you've said. You said always alone. You said, they find their way. You said born, or you said that you've talked to them about, hey, I messed that one up. So I want to share something. We have 3 children. We did not adopt those children. I've had the blessing, and my wife as well, and more her than me, have had the blessing of being with them since day one. But at the end of the day, I can share with you that what you just said to me about 3 that you adopted, it's not different for us. I mean, we had a little bit more runway with them, if that makes sense. Like, we've had them from day one, but at the end of the day, I've sat next to my son's bed many times and said, man, I messed that one up, dude. And I remember our 3rd child, they gave us this, literally, they gave us this like silver, I don't even know what you want to call it, a baton. And it was like, hey, like we were like Gold Star members because we'd had 3 children at the same hospital. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome.
No, it really was. It was really special. And I appreciate what they did, but it was like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, awesome. You know what I mean? Like, we're not rewards members because we've had 3 children here. But at the end of the day, it was like, at the end of the day, yeah, you gave me that, but you didn't tell me how to raise my kids. I think it's the point is you gave us this thing, and I'm not knocking that hospital. It's such a cool thing that they did because it's a special, it's very special. We've had 3 children in the same hospital, but none of them came home with a manual, and
Right.
I think that's what I'm trying to get to is at the end of the day, like, we screwed up a lot of stuff. I did. I shouldn't say we, because my wife's like just a rock star. No, it's true. And for me, like, I'm just the fun dad, So many times I've had this, and I hope fun. I get to sit by their bed and say, I'm really sorry. I screwed that one up. You know what I mean? And I've done that. I've said, that's on me. I'm sorry.
I love that though. I love that vulnerability and that humbleness because I think when or at least I hope that's what they'll remember.
100%. Trust me. I believe it. I believe it as firmly as anything because I think that's just what they need to hear from us. I know our kids tend to put us in that hero status, right? But I think ultimately they just want to know that we're human.
Yes.
And then point them to the one.
Right.
That
'Cause no one can stand
is
up to
ultimately the
perfect,
hero.
right?
Right.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Brantley Gilbert, I'm a country music fan, so Brantley Gilbert has a song called The Man That Hung the Moon. And if you ever get a chance, go listen to it. But, sooner or later, they're going to realize I didn't hang the moon.
Yes.
And sooner or later, I hope they realize there is someone that hung the moon. And if as he says in that song, if I've done my job right, then they'll realize it wasn't me, it was him. And so anyway, I just want to encourage you and share some stories too, because we didn't adopt, we did it the other way. But at the end of the day, we're all in the same boat. There's no manual. And every kid's different and every kid responds differently. And that's the beauty of being a parent is we get to recognize and realize and analyze and all the other eyes our kids and hopefully parent them and shepherd them well, but ultimately point them to the one that really hung the moon. You know what I mean?
Yes. I love the shepherding. Yes. Thank you for that reminder. That's good.
Well, it is a reminder and it's an encouragement. I hope that we all find our way eventually. I hope.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, look, God gave us our kids. He pointed you to your kids. Ultimately, you know what I mean? Like he
Yes,
gave you those children.
absolutely.
It doesn't matter how they
Absolutely.
got there, right? It doesn't matter their journey. They're ours, and yours are
Oh.
yours, and that path happened because he entrusted them to you. And
Absolutely.
right. And anyway, I didn't want to get off track there. My last question for you: what's next? Like, what's your hope and your dream?
Oh, gosh, I have so many. I think my hope and dream is besides more time in a day, I need about 48 hours in one day, is just to continue trying to make a difference, leave a legacy, and persevere with a purpose that, I think many of us as Christians that have that, it, it becomes the goal of the day we die, when our eyes are truly away from we finally get to a point where it's away from how do I put this? Away from the worldly things and truly on what's God's purpose for me and how can I serve him to my very best ability. It becomes everything is about how can I serve him and how can I serve um, the people that he's entrusted me with the journey he's given me to the day I go home, him saying, good job, faithful servant. And for me, it's good job, faithful servant. Now you can finally go rest. And to me, it's so many days, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I am so exhausted. But I keep pushing myself because I'm like, I don't know what tomorrow brings. And I don't know. And I think that because I have so many health challenges and I've walked the journey with cancer care ministry and stroke support. And, for those that don't walk the journey of health issues and have not walked the journey of helping others and I'm thankful that they haven't. And if you're listening, you're a listener and you had good health and you've never been exposed to that. I'm thankful you haven't, but when you have, you just look at things differently. And so because I look at things that way, I have several other books in draft in my mind I would love to do. I want to do a children's book series. I have a service dog now, and I want him to be the main character to teach children how to accept others that aren't like themselves, so that we can also teach adults how to accept others that aren't like themselves. And I would love my story to be in the movies one day, just to give others the hope and encouragement that no matter what your original goals were, if those don't come true, there's always hope and inner joy in the new normal. And just because something doesn't go the way you thought it would, and goodness knows, I certainly didn't think I would have a stroke, epilepsy, and cancer diagnosis, which I did, which is now cancer-free and doing well. I adopted kids, that didn't go as planned. I still have an amazingly fabulous, wonderful life with a purpose and plan, and an amazing spouse and wonderful kids and loving parents. And so no matter what you go through, you can still have hope and inner joy and a wonderful life. And so I just think it's all about perspective and having the right priorities. So and I think until God says you're done here on earth, keep living your best life.
100%. And I'm blown away that you found me because of somehow through the Speak Up conference. And again, like that story alone is amazing. Like, God's incredible. The fact that I got to be at that and you somehow found me and DM'd and we connected. And so let me ask you really quick again, what are the links so that people can follow your journey?
Yeah.
How can people best follow you, connect with you, buy the book, everything else?
Yes, definitely go to my website. It's www.lorivober.com, because on there you will find my cell phone, you'll find my email, you'll find my Facebook, you'll find my Instagram. So you'll find all my information right there. You'll find my journey, you'll find my other speaking engagements, you'll find my history. So that really is the best way, is to go directly to my website, and you can find out all about me. You can find my books. I had my first book come out in 2022 called Choices. When you're faced with a challenge, what choice will you make? And my ninth compilation is publishing this year. And hopefully I will have a second 52-week devotional coming out in the near future, along with other books as I eventually settle down and get them out of my head.
I love it. Okay, so those are your links. That's why we're doing this podcast, is it's your platform. And so anybody listening to me now, go check out her books, check out Lori's story. And it's LORIVOBER.com.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure, in case anybody's listening to driving their car. So
yes,
that's your website.
If anybody does have film and music in the movie industry in their background and wants to reach out, I would absolutely love to get some more information and get the ball rolling in that direction. That would be great.
My last question for you is, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm so appreciative of this opportunity. That I will be going this afternoon to speak at an inpatient stroke support group at a hospital. I have the very blessed opportunity to speak twice a month at stroke support groups. One is an outpatient group and one is an inpatient. And I just love that God allows me to use my journey for that, because I think everything we go through, we should use. And so I love that I get to do that, because it takes me back to where I was 20 years ago. And it also gives me the chance to give hope to those that are right back where I was. And so thank you for asking. And I would appreciate your prayers as I continue to share my journey, and that I'm the light and the hope to others that might be sitting in darkness, wondering what their next best step is, and they can see through me that there truly is hope and a greater path. Sometimes it just takes time. And when you cry out to God, we have to remember, He will answer all our prayers. It's just in His timing, not ours.
Lori, you're a blessing. Your DM to me was a blessing. Our time today was a blessing. And I hope people that have listened find it as a blessing, because I just think so many, we live in a Kardashian world. I'm going to go on a rant. We live in a Kardashian world where everything's socialized and social media and TikToks and streams and reels. But at the end of the day, we all have a story, and you have an amazing one, an absolutely amazing one. I pray for your 3 adopted children. I pray that you shepherd them well. God gave them to you for a reason, and I 100% believe that. Hopefully, we've shared your links throughout this. You've written books about this, and I bet there's way more content than we can squeeze into a, 38-minute podcast episode. But thank you for DMing me. It was an honor. It was honestly, I got back to my hotel. So just my story, I got back to a hotel and I'm sitting there like, why am I here? I got to parachute into this conference and it was awesome. It was amazing. I loved it. It was literally, it's been a blessing. It's been a blessing upon blessing. But at that moment, I got back to my hotel and I'm like, why? Lord, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I got your message that you were watching it online. And because of that, we're on this call today. And so God's plans are way bigger than ours as parents, as people. And so I'm just thankful for you. And I hope this audience listening will get behind you and support you as much as possible.
Oh, I appreciate that so much, Aaron. Thank you so much. That just makes me so happy. And I hope you'll keep in touch with me. And, anything I can do to support you in the future also. But let's definitely keep in touch. But thank you again for this opportunity.
Well, you're stuck with me now. I mean, you reached out on Facebook. I've got your email.
That sounds great. Well, hey, who knows? Maybe we'll be at Speak Up in person together next year, and you can parachute back in. And I'll get to see Carol Kent next week at a different conference. So I definitely, it would be a blessing and a pleasure to meet you in person.
She was wonderful. Her conference is amazing, and I hope whatever conference you're attending, it's as good as Speak Up was, and I was honored to be there. So I genuinely mean that. And yeah, I mean, if they'll have me back, I'll see you next year.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Yes. And just shout out if anybody is looking for a conference, Speak Up is, if you're an author or speaker, Speak Up is an amazing one. I'm going to a different one that one of the Speak Up speakers there, her name is Tammy Whitehurst, is a co-director of one that I'm going to next week. It's called Christian Communicators. It's in Dallas, Texas. It is an amazing conference. It's my 3rd year attending. It is not only an amazing conference for resources and training, but truly has nourished my soul and brought me on an incredible journey that I probably wouldn't be on the same journey as not only a writer and speaker, but as an individual. If I had found that conference and found those women, we are on Facebook and within different support groups with each other throughout the entire year. So it's not just a one-time conference. It's a truly bring you into the fold and do life together, whether you live next door or a million miles away. And that's truly, I think that's what we're called to do for each other as Christian sisters and brothers is really be there. And, I think it's easy to be friends with each other when it's all laughs and fun, but it's a true friendship is when you spend time listening to each other and supporting each other when it's not convenient and when you're busy but when one another needs a compassionate, understanding ear, and that's what really matters. And that's what I think truly the conferences like Speak Up and Christian Communicators and some of these others are truly all about. So if you are a speaker or a writer and that's what your yearning is for, check them out because that's what you're going to find.
100%. And I'll tell you, I shared the platform, as you might remember, with Tammy. And shout out because she's a future guest. So I'm not one to gossip, but Tammy's coming on soon.
Wonderful. Well, she is one of my dearest best friends. And honestly, I am. Oh gosh, I love that woman so much. I can't wait to hug her. I would not be where I am today without her. And I am probably on a daily text with her, but she's the most magnificent Christian role model. I am the person I am today. She breathes light into my message. She endorsed my first book, and she truly, she is one that doesn't just walk the walk, talk the talk. She is the true person. So I'm thrilled that you're going to have her on. She is magnificent on and off the stage.
She really is.
Yeah.
And I can't
really
wait.
is.
I love her already. I've never even really spent much time with her, but I can't wait. And so,
She's great.
so shoot her a message and tell her to lock that date in. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she's wonderful. Yes, absolutely. So that's great.
Well, Lori, thank you so much. I pray nothing but blessings on you and your 3 children and your journey, your physical journey, just everything that you're doing. Thank you so much. Seriously, thank you for that DM, because when I got back to the hotel that night, just to know that, hey, somebody somewhere, I believe we do things for the one capital O, and the one person that just needed to hear it. And when I got back to my hotel that night and I got your DM, I knew that I did it for one person, and I'm so honored to have you on today. And so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. Well, we'll keep in touch, and excited to hear Tammy's podcast with you, and I will look forward to keeping in touch with you. So thank you again.
God bless. Thank you so much.
You too.
Bye.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Unscripted Podcast. Make sure to review and share wherever you listen to your podcast. It really helps out our mission to encourage everyone to live life unscripted. Until next time, keep living life unscripted.